Politics, politics, politics. I get asked quite a lot why I don't talk more about politics and politicians on this show rather than, say, China gobbling up the Commonwealth island by island, or grooming gangs raping your womenfolk up and down the land. And the reason I'm disinclined to take too much of an interest in politicians is summed up by this passage from the Welsh website Golig 360, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, in which the new colossus of British politics, Guido Harry, the bloke who was here at GBNews taking the knee, if you recall, and there's no reason why you should recall. Anyway, here's Guido Harry recounting the moment when he went to Downing Street on Friday to be offered his new job. I want to make sure I read this correctly. I walked in and did a salute and said, "Prime Minister Guido Harry reporting for duty." And he stood up from behind his desk and started taking the salute. But then he said, "What am I doing? I should take the knee for you." And we both laughed. Then I asked, "Are you going to survive, Boris?" And he said in his deep, slow and purposeful voice, and started to sing a little while finishing the sentence and saying, "I will survive." I inevitably invited him to say, "You've got all your life to live." And he replied, "I've got all my love to give." So we had a little blast from Gloria Gaynor. I see this Guido Harry guy is a knee-taking, China-shilling Remainer wokester, but he and the leader of the Conservative Party share a taste for Gloria Gaynor, so there's that. But I think he's got the wrong Gloria Gaynor hit. Take it away, Gloria. For that. I can't even be bothered with that. Boris Johnson is committing literal Harry Carey with this, so why bring the blameless Miss Gaynor into it? First I was afraid, I was petrified, but now I'm just bored out of my skull at all this Westminster Village gossip. If you're interested in villages, watch Emmerdale. It's much more interesting than this. The backroom boys are all in the front window. And that's working out great, isn't it? If you're worried about paying your heating bill, say. We're going to launch a new competition here on the Mark Steyn Show. Big prizes to be won if you can identify any conservatism in the present Conservative government. Send your entries on a postcard to P.O. Box 27, Port Stanley, soon to be renamed Portsea, the Falkland Islands. The winner will be next week's number 10 Communications Director. The runner-up gets 2 weeks as number 10 Communications Director. Now, I know what some of you are saying. What about Nadine Dorries's announcement that she's going to end the BBC licence fee, and thus the BBC as we know it? OK, I'll bite. Ms Dorries currently has two big things on her plate: her commitment to end the BBC licence fee and her commitment to, quote, online safety by policing, quote, offensive content on the internet, such as, she says, Jimmy Carr's jokes about the Roma and genocide. The Secretary of State for Digital, Culture, Media, Weather, Garden Furniture and Unicorns boasts that under her new bill, she'll be able to throw Mark Zuckerberg in prison. He's never going to be in prison because all he'll do is hire some intern to come up with some AI algorithm that automatically deletes, quote, offensive content, i.e. content that dissents from the official state media version, such as, quote, COVID misinformation. So let's push this a year, 2, 3 down the road. What's the betting? Let's have a wager on it. That the BBC will have lost its licence fee, or that at the behest of the state, the internet will be policing opinion ever more narrowly. The licence fee rubbish is just boob bait for the rubes, not going to happen. But the increasing constraints on free speech will happen. Take COVID misinformation. Wikipedia still lists as the first example of COVID misinformation the theory that COVID came from a lab leak, which happens to be true. as most scientists now admit, in fact, as they admitted in their private communications on the day the whole COVID broke 2 years ago, and then they all got together and decided they couldn't risk that becoming public. We had Matt Ridley talking about it on here a few weeks ago. American taxpayers funded so-called gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and somehow it escaped and killed millions of people, but by labeling it misinformation, all the people responsible for that have managed to keep it going. Now, I should say I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Although, actually, maybe I am a conspiracy theorist, if only because 6 months after Facebook and Twitter say, you can't say that, it's Russian disinformation, it turns out to be true. The battle that matters right now in the Western world at large is the one being played out on the streets of Ottawa between Canadian truckers and the mammy singer Bollywood bridesmaid who purports to be Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, and in far more subdued form by sotto voce backbench disquiet over this UK online harms bill, because both stories are about whether COVID world gets to become permanent. I mean, they're not shy about telling us what they're planning for us. This is what they were saying 2 years ago, almost as soon as the COVID was upon us. And look who's number two, as they say in Austin Powers.
Now is the historical moment, the time, not only to fight severe virus, but to shape the system.
We have a unique but rapidly shrinking window of opportunity to learn lessons and reset ourselves on a more sustainable path.
75 years ago, 1947, the heir to the throne, Princess Elizabeth, gave a speech in Cape Town to quote all the peoples of the British Commonwealth and Empire, wherever they live, dedicating her life, be it long or short, to their service. And now her successor as heir to the throne is dedicating his life not to the service of his peoples, but to a cabal of ludicrous pseudo-experts who've got everything wrong, including piling up a corpse count so high you'd think even the most blinkered of their groupies could see it. What do you reckon? You can email me, gbviews@gbnews.uk, or tweet me at gbnews.